Thursday. So we are together on, I'm actually recording this morning because I've got some stuff to do this evening, but I did not want to leave you guys high and dry. So we are recording. We're going to do, I've got some Reddit stories that I've saved that we have not gotten to. So we're going to do some of those today. Just real quick this morning, just to share with you guys, be together on Thursday as close to normal as possible. I don't remember what normal is, but that's okay. I think normal has gone out the window lately. So we're just going to do, there we go. So yeah, I'm just going to read some Reddit stories that I've got saved, and we'll be back live next week. So I hope you guys enjoy these. Our first one is from r/entitled people, and it is called Entitled Sister-in-Law Stole Our Baby Name. Now she regrets it. Hey y'all, long-time lurker and all that. This is a throwaway account. To cut to the chase, my wife and I spent 4 years trying to get pregnant before the wrong side of 35. I understand that, but it's not really a wrong side. We are currently 33 respectively now and are blessed with a wonderful infant son. Congratulations. My wife has a younger half-sister that she has been in low contact with for some time. The woman is entitled and toxic, and also her mother's golden child. Ah, so they share the same dad, not the same mom. Okay. We've refused to let her or my mother-in-law in-house since they both blatantly tried to make off with my wife's jewelry box a couple of years ago. Oh, no. The box contained a lot of valuable jewelry inherited from my wife's grandmother. Said jewelry is now in a safety deposit box as per my suggestion. Good, good. They can't get to it at a bank. My wife and I had nearly given up on trying to conceive when it suddenly happened, and we were ecstatic, as you should be. After we found out we were having a boy, we started looking into names. I ended up suggesting the name of my Scottish grandfather, and my wife loved it. Good. So that's the name we settled on. But we made the mistake of posting about it on social media. I was just going to ask, how did she find out? Yeah. Well, no surprise to the stereotype in this mess. My sister-in-law was pregnant too. Of course she was. And was months further along than my wife and also having a boy. Of course she was. She decided to claim my grandfather's name for her own son. Your grandfather's name. And not just the first name, but the middle name too. God bless it. We called her pissed over what she was doing, and she smugly told us that there's nothing we can do about it. Which she was sort of right. There was nothing we could do about it legally, as it's still not a crime to steal planned baby names. It is not, but it's rude. It is so rude, especially if it's not like their grandfather's name. And she just got to it first. She took your grandfather's name, and this is your sister-in-law. Okay. We realized that drama was exactly what my sister-in-law wanted, and she thought that by taking the name for herself, we'd not be able to use it. I laughed and told her that while what she did was dirty and underhanded, we would keep our chosen name, and she could just deal with it whether she decides to go through with copying us or not. Good. Good. Well, my sister-in-law's baby daddy called me and said I was an unreasonable D-word for still wanting to use the name after sister-in-law claimed it. I said she claimed nothing, and since we couldn't own the name, then neither could they. And you posted about it on social media first, so the people that know all of you guys already know that you were planning to use the name. So there you go. Before he ended the call, he threatened me by saying I'd be sorry if we didn't change the name. Then he hung up before I could respond. What are they going to do? How are you going to be sorry? Like, these kind of threats make no sense to me at all. Months later, sister-in-law has a healthy baby boy and names him my grandfather's name. We did not show up for the birth. Well, no. Both because of the pandemic and because we simply didn't care to be there. Sister-in-law called us one in congratulations, but we told her we simply didn't care, and that if she was still insisting we change our baby's name, then she'd be in for some big disappointment because we were not. Good. Stand on it. Yeah, no. Sister-in-law demanded I put my wife on the phone, but it was already on speaker, and my wife spoke up and said she agrees with me entirely. We weren't changing the name. Yeah, no, she's going to give birth. She can name that baby whatever she wants. Sister-in-law hung up on us, but soon started sending emails with text walls of names, even suggesting similar ones. I responded back that the name was for my grandfather, and that's why we were not changing it. She shut up, and we didn't hear from her again till after our own son was born. Yeah, so what is happening in the midst of this, which you guys don't know because you're not talking. But certainly your parents know what's happening with your sister-in-law. Anyway, I guess I could just read and find out. 2 months later, we were blessed with our son. He came out perfect, and we named him just as we'd intended. Well, no surprise, my sister-in-law called us a few days after the birth to scream in our ears that we copied her son's name. I pointed out she was the real copycat since she had no familial ties to the name, and we did. You're so right. I love this. And anyone who looks at our family trees could see that. Then my wife spoke up and said that after the attempted theft of her grandmother's jewelry, she no longer considered sister-in-law her sister, and would have nothing to do with her nephew either. Oh. For months, we were bombarded with messages and emails from my wife's side of the family. Half were on our side after finding out the whole story. The other half were not. And sister-in-law's baby daddy, true to his word, showed up at my door to make me sorry. I'm not sure what his plan was, but I pretty much towered over him. I'm 6'1" and well-built from regular exercise and 3 trips to the gym a week. He, on the other hand, was very skinny and about 5'6", with a baby face that was badly hidden by a slim beard. I told him my house has cameras, and to get off my property and never come back. He just yelled a few obscenities at me and drove off in his beat-up old car. These people are something else. Do they live with your mother-in-law? I'll bet they do. That's judgy. That's judgy, Katie. Maybe we can let my beastie baby be judgy. These people ain't right. Ain't right. Get your own names. Thank you. It's my little Sasquatch baby, beastie baby. He's so cute. Anyway, let's find the resolution on this. Okay. Sister and mother-in-law called us from a different number to yell at me for making sister-in-law's baby daddy feel emasculated. He came to your house looking to pick a fight. It's not like you went to find him and called him all kinds of names. These people need a smack. I didn't even threaten the man. Just told him to leave and not come back. And if he didn't want to feel emasculated, that he shouldn't have come knocking. Exactly. They tried to bring up the issue of the baby name again and demanded we change our son's name as, he's so young, so there's still plenty of time to do it. Same with your kid. They're like 3 months apart. If anybody should change the name, it's the people who shouldn't have taken it in the first place. I don't understand why they are so tied to a name that means nothing. At least not to them. It means everything to you guys. This is so dumb. I need to keep reading. We held our ground and told them that they were bonkers to still think they were in the right after they copied our choice of name just to try to get one over on us. Just to try and get one over on us. I said sister-in-law didn't even name her own son out of love, but out of spite, just to try and stick it to my wife for no good reason. Then my wife called them both out on the way she was treated growing up, how entitled sister and mother-in-law have always been, and how she was glad to leave them far behind. Oh my. And she wants nothing from them, and they won't have anything from us. Aw. That left sister-in-law sobbing, and mother-in-law called me a royal bastard before hanging up the phone. I'll bet she did. These two women sound like somebody needed to say no to them a long time ago. That was no, then it was no call. NC is no contact. Then it was no contact again for a little while till sister-in-law called us again sometime later to bitterly tell us we'd won. She and her baby daddy got in a huge fight and he left. He was apparently very sore that sister-in-law didn't let him even give their son a middle name from his family. Exactly. Like, this is what he should have been upset about. Not with you guys, but upset about the fact that his son doesn't get anything from his family. Yeah. And he said he was sick of the BS and wanted his son named after him and not some guy he wasn't even related to. Sister-in-law finally caved and they got the boy's birth certificate reissued with a completely new name, which cost sister-in-law around $500 or so she claims. Sister-in-law then demanded we at least compensate her for the name change plus another $100 for the emotional damage, as she's now going to have to get used to calling her son by a different name. So it didn't damage you that much if it only costs $100. Your feelings are very shallow and very cheap. We laughed and said this would have never happened if she hadn't stolen our baby name to begin with, and we didn't owe her anything. Since then, we've been no contact with sister-in-law and mother-in-law, but my father-in-law, who's a very nice man and divorced from mother-in-law for obvious reasons, would come by often and loves his grandson. From what he and other relatives told us, the situation between sister-in-law and her baby daddy was pretty tumultuous. But we don't care. Not our monkeys, not our circus. Good for you guys. That's great. Comments. Oh, I didn't see the username. I love it. The username is Dad Who Stood His Ground. That's awesome. So that was 4 years ago. Somebody said, this was very satisfying to read. Sister-in-law sounds awful. OP says, she's completely spoiled, toxic, and she is a completely spoiled, toxic, and petty woman. Her cousin and mother, too. So we want nothing to do with a lot of them. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Just other folks in the comments sharing their own kind of things. 5_frog_margin commented, this happened to a friend of mine, Jane. Her little sister, Tina, was always pulling the same kind of stuff. Jane and her husband knew Tina well enough to know she'd try to undermine her older sister whenever possible. When the, what are your baby names of choice conversations came around, they dropped a decoy name. Supposedly hubby's great-grandfather who'd been killed at Gettysburg. I love it. These people all live within an hour of Gettysburg and visited a few times. Sure enough, Tina took the name when she had the first baby. Jane and husband kept pleasant about the whole thing, and when their baby boy was born about a year after Tina's son, they gave him the name of a cousin of theirs who died as a teenager. The family was touched as the cousin who died was very beloved. When Tina tried to smugly apologize for stealing the name, Jane and husband just laughed and said that was another one of hubby's numerous dumb jokes. Hubby's family came here in the 1920s and never fought in the Civil War, LOL. Decoy names are good. I was listening to another one earlier where somebody like stole somebody else's wedding plans just because they were asking these seemingly innocuous questions and then just stole everything. So there is, you can give some credit to the phrase, hold your cards close to your vest, but yeah, I think there's a fine line between speaking things into the universe and giving somebody a way to screw things up for you. So, yeah, use discretion with who you tell things to. I I mean, you can be wrong about the sex. So, you know, you give up your, you know, you put your boy name out online and then you have a girl. Um, I don't know. I'm careful about what I put out there until it's actually something. Just because I don't want people poo-pooing all over it. Sometimes things are neat in my head and then they're neat when they're done, but in the meantime, people are just like, are you sure? Like, it's just giving people an opening to give their opinion, and I don't always want that. So, but that's just me. That's just me. Let's see. We'll find. Ooh. Okay. I think we're gonna do. Okay. This is from Best of Redditor Updates. But the title caught me, and that's why it's living here. So we're gonna. Waffle House Wedding Weekend. That title, I gotta see. Okay. So it starts, I'm not the OOP. OOP is Soda444. Originally posted to r/wedding shaming. And then, let's see, a couple of other users found the links. And so this is all now in Best of Redditor Updates. The original post is from February 12th of 2020. Ages ago, I was dating a woman who had a large family that she generally kept away from me. I didn't have any idea what they were like until we all traveled from the Northeast to Virginia for a wedding. Ah, like New Hampshire, Connecticut Northeast? Because that can be quite the culture shock. The person getting married was a cousin of the woman I was dating. The plan was to drive down to Virginia on a Friday morning and drive back Sunday night. That's a long drive. That's a lot of hours in the car. I was going to drive us down, but her father insisted that we ride with them. After all, he had a large, comfortable SUV, and we could relax in the backseat for the ride. Against my better judgment, I agreed, and we drove down with him. Yeah, that's rough because everybody's wanting to just be kind, and hey, it'll save us all gas money if we just ride together, and there's no need to put wear and tear on two vehicles, and da-da-da-da-da. So I get it. But it still can be a pain in the butt. We had a couple of months' notice about this wedding. I made it clear that I needed to be back by 9 a.m. that Monday because of work responsibilities that I could not offload on other people. Okay, so that adds another wrinkle. I confirmed with the woman I was dating a couple of times a week for 2 months that she had communicated this to her father and he was all right with leaving Sunday night and not Monday night. The morning of the big trip, we drove to her father's house. His big, comfortable SUV sat in the driveway while his hatchback commuter car sat idling in the street in front of his house. I bit my tongue as he and his son-in-law loaded everything into the hatchback and stared blankly as we were directed to get in the back. No. No, 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 no. If the vehicle is not the same one you guys were planning on taking, take yours. You've already driven to her dad's house. You have your car. Follow them. The car was so crammed that my feet were on a bag on the floor with my knees up and chest level. And this is going to a wedding, so your clothes are going to be so wrinkled. So wrinkled. Still, I was polite. I said nothing. The woman I was dating and I exchanged quiet glances several times as we made it to the highway. So this is her dad. Why didn't she speak up and be like, can we take the bigger car with more room? Okay. Sorry, there's a lot left and I'm getting all worked up. About 10 miles into the trip, on a major highway near New York City. Oh, so it's not super northeast. So you're close to NYC. Okay. Her father starts talking about our expected return on Monday night. I looked at the woman who I was dating who refused to look at me, then I chimed in stating I had to be back for 9 a.m. Monday, that I had checked with her multiple times each week for 2 months to make sure she had communicated it. Her father was surprised. He had no idea. Of course he didn't. And that's why this is just a woman you were dating and not like my wife. She had been fibbing about talking to him about it. As we drove, I began considering my options. You find a train when you get there and you just drive back. You just ride the train back, get an Uber or a taxi to her dad's house to get your car, and you say thank you, but no thank you. As I was asking to be let off at the next gas station where I could catch a cab and return home since my needs were not compatible with the plans this woman and her father had apparently agreed to, he reluctantly agreed to return Sunday night. Well, yeah, that's what he's agreeing while you're driving down. It's quite another thing when you're there. Yeah, I would just plan, get on your phone, find the train schedule. Virginia to New York, you can do on a train. Certain. On the way down to Virginia, her father and his son-in-law shared the driving. On the interstate highway, this involved driving at 45 miles per hour in the fast lane. They would ultimately somehow get lost, bringing us to Philadelphia, then D.C., then somehow West Virginia, before we ultimately arrived in whatever town in Eastern Virginia we were headed to. It was 7 a.m., and her father had arranged for everyone to go to Waffle Hut, a franchise I had heard of and seen but never visited before that day. 21 hours full. That should have been like a 10 to 12 hour drive. 21 hours folded into the back of a two-door hatchback with your knees pressed to your chest is a physically challenging thing to endure. Yeah. We'd stopped twice for gas, at which point we spent a few minutes outside the car, but otherwise we were crammed in there. I was surprised at how many people had shown up. Her family effectively filled this Waffle House. Wait a minute, I'm so confused. I gotta go back, because where did I miss? It just says for a wedding, but her dad was planning the wedding? Okay, I was surprised at how many people had shown up. Her family effectively filled this Waffle House. The woman I was dating and I sat at a small table with one of her cousins and the man she was dating. I had met this man once before in passing. Dave. Oh, poor Dave. I took one look at him that morning and realized he had been through a similar ordeal. He quietly told me that he had left on Thursday morning. His girlfriend's father, an uncle to the woman I was dating, drove them from Connecticut through Pennsylvania to Ohio to get to Eastern Virginia. They'd spent Thursday night in a motel in Pittsburgh to get from Western Connecticut to Eastern Virginia. Yeah. These two dads. Is this like Get Out? I'm confused. The Waffle House was staffed by two women, a waitress and her daughter who worked the griddle. The waitress started at the far end of the restaurant, taking orders and delivering food, and slowly worked her way to our end. We walked into the Waffle House at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. Dave and I were the last two who got to place an order. At this point, we'd been there about an hour. Yeah. We ordered some sort of meal that had grits, toast, eggs, and coffee. We both asked to hold the grits, for eggs over easy, and for black coffee. Okay, perfect. As we waited to be fed, it became clear that the rest of the larger group was getting ready to leave. The group, let's say there were 30 people, which is probably a conservative estimate, slowly over the course of maybe 15 minutes began standing, stretching, getting their acts together. When our food was finally brought over to us, we saw that the woman working the griddle had supplemented our meals with a dozen additional eggs over easy to make up for asking for no grits. What? No. No. Dave and I were both shocked as a platter of eggs were placed in the table between us. You and Dave gotta go. You need to just leave. We looked at each other somewhat stoically. We had sat there patiently waiting to order while everyone else was served. After 21 hours in the back of that car with nothing to eat aside from a granola bar, I looked at the crowd who were now all staring at me and realized that they were expecting us to stand up and leave despite having just been served. Nope, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to eat this dozen eggs. That sounds so gross. Ugh. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I began enjoying my breakfast. So did Dave. We took our time eating. We chatted about TV shows while we ate, asked for more coffee, and the two of us ate every last morsel of food. Good for you. Good for you. I have no idea how I ate a total of 8 eggs over easy, but I did. Oh God, I forgot they were all over easy. Oh, so much worse because they get cold. Cold eggs not, no. I even ate those hash browns that I normally don't touch. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The group watching us continued to watch us for the most part. 1 or 2 cars of people left us, but there were 4 cars worth of people who walked out with us. That is insane. That weekend was truly bizarre. Everyone was staying at an aunt's house. This meant that some people pitched tents in the backyard. I had been under the impression that we'd be staying at a hotel. Turns out that wasn't true either. Dave and I were effectively ostracized. The large group of family members there would not speak more than a few words to us, with the exception of the aunt who owned the house and our girlfriends. Dave and I were given throw pillows and blankets and wound up having to sleep on the slate floor near the door because there was no other place. Oh, I don't think so. I'd be so gone. We got just a little bit left. Okay. We slept for a few hours before everyone started getting up to go to the reception. Dave and I wore suits. Our girlfriends wore nice dresses. There was some issue with the cars, so we called a cab for the 4 of us to go to the reception. The wedding was at the reception hall and took all of maybe 10 minutes. Yeah. Weddings don't take very long. The ceremony itself. You wanna? Forever? Okay. Me too. Love you. The reception started immediately. About half the people there were dressed as if they were going shopping at a mall. Yeah. Within 30 minutes, dozens of people were drunk and the party descended into chaos. Of course it did. It started at a Waffle House. It is ending in chaos. And probably a broken bone or 6. During this party, we watched as some of the aunts got so drunk that they stood on the balconies sobbing uncontrollably. We watched some of the uncles and many of the male cousins strip down to undershirts or bare chests on the dance floor. Well, yeah. How else are people going to see their full moves? It's constricting to move in a jacket. We watched as the father of the woman I was dating was prancing around the dance floor, waving his shirt over his head with his pants drooping beneath his butt. We watched someone lean too far back in a chair and fall over backwards into a large mirror affixed to a wall, cracking it. And we watched as basically no one reacted to that. This wedding reception had decayed into a nightmare party. It certainly did. I looked over at the bride multiple times throughout the night. Were they at the breakfast? I'll bet they weren't. She sat at the head table alone with her new husband. They were stone cold sober. She watched with slackened jaw as her wedding reception fell into chaos. I observed from the other end of the room. We sat at the table for a couple of hours, and in that time I saw nobody even approach the bride or groom. No, because it wasn't about them. Eventually, the situation there became too much, and the 4 of us skipped out. We went to a nearby hotel for the night. With the reception slated to end around 10 p.m. and us leaving around 7 p.m., I felt bad for the bride and groom for however the situation would escalate after we left. Oh no. Oh no! I read ahead! Sorry, I read ahead. Around 11:30 p.m., phones started ringing. The bride was calling our girlfriends looking for help. So we went back to the venue. The place was a mess. The party had winded down, and just about everyone there was in no condition to drive. The bride had asked us to help shuttle people to the aunt's house. My thought was, leave them where they are. Seeing some people just flat out passed out. But we started shuttling people. Some people who could barely walk opted to drive themselves, and I saw the people who worked at the venue pick up the phone as they observed this to call in the drunk drivers. Good, good, good for them. After spending a while helping a bride shuttle incapacitated family members home on her wedding night, I returned alone to my hotel room and went to sleep. Meeting up with Dave the following day, Sunday, he was talking about he had to be at work the following day and how he didn't know how he was going to get back. Yet, since the driver he came down with had spent 20 minutes throwing up all over the inside of his own car the night before, oh no. My girlfriend called me around noon or so to report that everyone was already drinking again and things were getting out of hand at the aunt's house, that we would not be driving back that night. That's exactly why they hadn't planned to drive back Sunday night. They were going to day drink all day Sunday, sleep it off, and then try to drive home Monday. Dave and I rented a car and drove home, leaving before 2 p.m. Good. The trip back took maybe 6 hours. We did not get lost and wind up in D.C., Philadelphia, Ohio, or West Virginia. The trip home was smooth and uneventful. Good, 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 good. I spoke to that girlfriend upon her return. She told me about how the family hated Dave and I because we are selfish and only think about ourselves, for not getting up without eating at the Waffle House, and for needing to be back to work that Monday. Dave was accused of throwing up all over the inside of the uncle's car because Dave can't handle alcohol. No. Dave doesn't drink, though. It's just not his thing, but I guess it was important for the uncle to blame someone else for his own vomit. Of course it was. We were both also considered very rude for sleeping on the slate floor for 4 hours. It was suggested that we should have slept on the porch or driveway, although the aunt who owned the home argued against that. We were blamed for the damage to the floor at the venue and the broken mirror. Something that happened with the cake after we had left, and we were blamed for that too. I never spoke to that girlfriend again after that. The experience was so ridiculous and embarrassing that we agreed during that call to break up. She kept apologizing to me about everything. Look, don't take people to your family weddings if that's the way that they are. You already know how your family is. Let's see. Dave and I kept in touch for a while. He too broke it off with his girlfriend after that weekend. He wound up meeting someone nice and getting married a year later. There's a lot more that happened with this family after these events, but this is already super long, so I'll save that for another time. Yeah. Yeah, that's just kind of crazy. There's like, what is all of this?